And so there's, two major things I want you guys to get from this today. One is you're gonna know how to build a sales team. That's pretty cool, right? And then the second thing is, what are the results of building that brand? And I can walk you guys through that today by telling you my story. So first, I wanna talk about what I call myself. I don't call myself owner, CEO, anything like that. I call myself a sales program builder. That's what I do. And I think we were just talking about crafting your brand, right? And so that title kind of right away, little interested, oh, you recruit sales teams? I don't quite understand it. So it gives me an opportunity to explain it, right? What is a sales program? So a sales program is a systemized collection of documented SOPs, trainings, and structures that enable the sales team to scale, right?
Great experiences build great leaders. Great leaders build great teams. This is Building Great Sales Teams.
That's right. I love that. Wait, listen, you're not doing anybody a favor by playing small at all, including yourself and those around you. You're being grossly negligent. I absolutely love that. So we've got a couple slide logistics that we're working through here. And as we do that, I want to go right into our next speaker. This individual is not only a dear friend, but I consider him like a brother. And we first met through a group we were part of a few years back, and we are absolute polar opposite personalities. He is timid, reserved, laid back, cool, calm, and collective, and I am off the hinges, as you can tell. And that actually worked really well together as we came together and created and launched his podcast, Building Great Sales Teams. In the middle of that process, he came in because this is what he does. He comes in and he just fixes things and he makes them better and he improves upon them. He asked me about my current model at the time and how things worked. And he said, why are things this way and why is this an option? And I didn't have an answer. And he said, Sebastian, that's a problem. And I said, so what do you propose, Doug? And he said, it needs to be like this, and then after that, it's this, and then after that, it's this. Got it? Any questions? I go, no. He goes, send me the contract. I'm the first person on this brand new program. That conversation radically changed my life and my business and turned it into a multiple six-figure business because of advice that I took from a client who became a dear friend. Why do I share all that with you right now? Because that's why we're in this room right now. That's how Adam and I came together and made this whole thing a reality, is because of the relationships that we've built and said, hey, how can we take our expertise and knowledge and make sure that we are canvassing it to as many people as possible? So Doug's gonna come up here and share his story, which is extremely impactful. And he's also gonna talk about what it takes to build a great sales team, which, by the way, is the name of his podcast, Building Great Sales Team. So it's my extreme pleasure to welcome to the stage, give a big round of applause to my good friend, Doug Mitchell.
Damn, that is the best intro I've ever gotten. That was fantastic. Yeah, I got you, brother. I got you. All right, so my name's Doug Mitchell. My brand is Building Great Sales Teams. Well, first off, let's give these guys a round of applause for putting this together, man. This is fantastic. When I saw Adam first putting this together, I was also thinking about running an event myself, and then I saw the stress and everything that he was going through, and I was like, you know what, never mind, I'm good. My event's on July 12th. I still did it anyways. That's what we do as entrepreneurs, right? We love pain, I guess. I don't know. But yeah. At that time that I met Sebastian, I was full into my sales org, and I didn't know why I was building a brand yet, but it's one of the best things that I've ever done, which is why I love this event so much, because it's all about that. It's all about building a brand, right? And so there's, two major things I want you guys to get from this today. One is you're gonna know how to build a sales team. That's pretty cool, right? And then the second thing is, what are the results of building that brand? And I can walk you guys through that today by telling you my story. So first, I want to talk about what I call myself. I don't call myself owner, CEO, anything like that. I call myself a sales program builder. That's what I do. And I think we were just talking about crafting your brand, right? And so that title kind of right away, a little interested. Oh, you recruit sales teams? I don't quite understand it. So it gives me an opportunity to explain it, right? What is a sales program? So a sales program is a systemized collection of documented SOPs, trainings, and structures that enable the sales team to scale, right? And so whenever I got into some of these groups like Sebastian is talking about, I realized right away that I had something that everybody wanted to learn. I had a sales org. I had, I think, over 50 salespeople at the time, and everybody kept asking me, how do you hire your first salesperson? Or how do I take my team from 5 to 10 people? Or how do I take my team from $1 million to $2 million? And so I kept answering these questions, and in a room where I did not belong, because these were like $10 million, $20 million net worth individuals, and I know we all go through this laughing because it's a common theme. We all have that imposter syndrome. They were coming up to me asking me how I did what I did and how I could help their business. So I realized, hey, I need to put something easy together for them to understand. And it was CODOC. That's how I put it together. So the first one is compensation. Can they make the money they need to make? Is it obvious up front? Do you have a lengthy contract, or is it laid out in black and white for them how they can make the money that they need to make to support their family and to build a future, right? The second one is opportunity. All right, making money is cool, but am I going to grow as a person? If you hire me onto your sales team, do I have an opportunity to get into leadership someday? Or am I just going to be kind of stuck there? The next one is development. Am I actually going to grow my skill set? Am I actually going to grow as a human being and not just a salesperson that only benefits you, right? Are you going to grow me as an individual? Because I want to be where you are someday, which is not necessarily a business owner, but with financial freedom, time freedom, the things that you guys have that your people want to have someday, even if it's just one small rung. The next one is operations. This is where I thrive, right? If you give me something that's working for your business, I'm going to make it into an SOP. And then I'm going to scale that SOP and tweak it every quarter as much as I can until I feel like it's perfect. A lot of these things that I'm going to show you today, I've been using for a decade. The structures, the outlines, the templates I've been using for over a decade, and I use with my clients today. Okay, the last piece is culture. This is the toughest one for me to consult on, because a lot of times building a great culture requires going backwards before you go forward. And then you get a little bit forward and you got to go backwards again to maintain that culture. And then you get into leadership, you want to recruit key players now, you got to go backwards again to go forward. And a lot of it is trimming and pruning the tree that is your business over and over and over again. Most people don't trim the first time and they stay at the revenue that they're at for the rest of their lives. Or they talk about how good they used to be. All right, so tactically, these are the major documents that are part of a successful sales program. These can build you a multi-million-dollar sales team, and they're not sexy. Surprise. They're not. As much as I love guys like Andy Elliott and Jeremy Miner and the word tracks and everything, as soon as they train someone for you and that person leaves your company, well, it leaves with them, that training. But if you incorporate it into your sales program, if you take that word track and you incorporate it into a script, now it's evergreen in your company and you can grow it forever. So let's get into kind of my story, and then I'm going to show you guys some of these templates and documents along the way that are going to help you hire your first salesperson or build your sales program, right? So in 2011, I got an opportunity. I was working for another business owner. I was the marketing manager. I was making 30 grand a year. I was placing full page ads for collectible gold, intrinsic value, 1 ounce of gold. They call in, and then this monster of a sales team would upsell them into intrinsic value gold, which is like collectible gold, right? American Gold Eagles and stuff like that. And he had several other businesses too, and I did a lot of little things for all these businesses, but I knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I wanted to have a business. And so one of the businesses was Argenta Field Solutions, which was an AT&T dealer, okay? He couldn't get it to black. He sunk 200 grand into it, And the salesperson that convinced him to start it had walked already. So he was left with this business that wasn't doing anything. So he asked me to take it over. He's like, "You're good at talking to the sales team, right?" And he just like threw it up against the wall and hoped that I could pull it off, right? And so I started netting about $5K a month with it. And, he's like, "Okay, maybe I can sell it now. Maybe I can sell it to somebody." He put it out there. He wasn't able to sell it. And I'm like, "Why don't you sell it to me?" He's like, "You don't have any money." Fair. You're right. There's this thing called owner financing. So why don't you just owner finance to me? I'll make a payment every month. He's like, "Okay, I can do that. And if it doesn't work, then I'm still out the $200K anyways." Again, threw it up against the wall. Well, it turned out it worked. I knocked doors for 90 days. It was a door-to-door sales company. I knocked doors for 90 days, and I never knocked doors again. How many sales org owners or sales-centric companies do you know that the original only knocked doors for 90 days? Probably not many. And it's because I wasn't a salesperson. Could I go out and do the work because I wanted to start my own business? 100%. But what I started doing at that time is I began documenting. I found a few key players. I found a sales manager for the Corpus Christi market, where I'm from Texas. I found a sales manager for the Houston market. Started documenting, started putting systems in place. And, we grew to 10 reps with 2 offices, which is cool, right? Now I'm like in the 6-figure range. At that time, I think we were around 600K, as it says, with obviously 0% profit, as we all have in our first year in business. I was able to pay my personal bills, don't get me wrong, like 50K salary or whatever, but there was nothing extra for my minority partner and owner financer at the time, right? All right, I wanna show you guys this picture because I know you all can relate to it. And so this was 13 years ago. That's my daughter, she's 13 now. She is a handful, y'all. If y'all have preteens or teenagers, you know what I'm saying? But this was getting home from a Houston road trip where I ran that office. I worked in the field that day, and I drove 3 hours home. And I was going to drive right back out to Houston the next day, but she was a brand new baby, and I wanted 30 minutes to kind of just hang out with her. And I know you all have had those moments, and I'm just saying I'm just like you here, okay? If you're in this stage right now, Adam, he's in that stage right now. He's got a beautiful baby, by the way. Saw her earlier. Oh, sorry. All I got was the polo. Yeah, I'm in Adam's third circle. I just got moved to the second to the third. Okay, so at this point, it's 2012. I've become a business owner now, right? I have 2 sales managers. I'm the regional director in terms of a sales org, but now I'm actually getting to run the business. I have an admin so I can delegate. I have 3 offices and 20 reps. We're growing, right? And that was largely in part to putting together the first 3 letters of CODOC, which is the comp plan, the opportunity, and the development structures, right? And so right about now, as a brand new business owner, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, what's the most important thing in my life? The business. It should be my faith. It should be my family. It should be, yeah, that's my son in the back there, Cameron. It should be these things, but it wasn't. Because I was so dead set on being successful, because I got mommy and daddy issues, y'all. So I was like, I need to be successful, right? And so I was so set on being successful that was my priority. I knew if I could provide for them and I could show them a better life than I had, then I was winning. I felt like that was enough. Turns out it wasn't, right? So I'm just gonna kind of set that there, tell y'all I had 0 business and family alignment. We all talk about balance. I think it's more alignment. Like, I get to bring my son on this work trip with me where we're going to 2 cities, we're doing 2 client quarterlies, and we're going to an event, which is this, right? Pretty cool. And he gets to see me speak on stage. That's alignment, business family alignment versus balance. Like, I'm not gonna see my bed for 5 nights. That sucks. My bed's comfortable, y'all. All right, so how did I get to that 1.3? Well, let's walk through it. The first piece is compensation. This is the easiest one. If you're going to hire a salesperson, you've got to be able to show them a simple comp plan. If it's in a heavily worded contract, Get that compensation out of there and get it onto a comp plan. So is it one sheet and is it simple? Is it comparable with other salespeople in the marketplace? All right, if you're just starting a new business, you're probably not comparable, but what do you have that none of these other businesses have? Opportunity, right? They are the first salesperson you hire. So if they do it right, they get to be the manager someday. They get to be the regional director. You know what I'm saying? Or they get to transition into something that they're stronger in. But either way, they're in early. Imagine being day one at Google. That's what we used to say in our opportunity meetings in the first couple of years. Like, this is like day one in Google right now. We had the confidence to say that because sales had changed our lives. So we wanted to let them know it could change theirs too, right? Is it worth the work? When you break down the hours it takes to make a sale, what is that hourly? And is that worth it for somebody that's coming into your company? If you have a sales position right now and they cannot make 6 figures within 1 year, it's probably not going to be a successful sales position for long. You're going to have to really sell the opportunity of them recruiting more salespeople and then growing, right? Is it scalable beyond that? And how do we display the beyond that? This is an example of a comp plan, right? So at the top, you guys can see that we have the compensation for a sale, how that breaks down into weekly commission. All right, so I know I can make $50K a year in weekly commission. All right, so what about when I'm qualified to train other people coming in? Right, now I can make overrides, right? So there's an opportunity there for overrides. That's explained. This is an Excel spreadsheet. You guys all know how to use this. This is not complicated stuff, and it's not sexy either. Now, all of it together can be 100%. All right, so weekly commission projection, I'm showing you what you can make as a rep, which in this case is $52K a year. I think this client was payment processing, yeah. And then as a partner account manager, which is the next level, training, overrides, all that good stuff, recruiting people into the company, that's gonna be $93,000 a year. And you can do that in 1 year. They have people on that team that have done that. Now we got a plan in place, compensation and opportunity now. How do I lay that opportunity structure out, and why is it important that I lay it out separately from the comp plan? So that they can see, all right, if I'm only making $50K this year, because that's the opportunity in commission, what can they teach me that will make me more money in the future? I can't tell you how many people came back to me after a couple of years of being gone from the company and said, what you taught me helped me launch my own business. What you taught me helped me get a regional director role. What you taught me helped me launch a brand. You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. That is really cool. You know, we all want to fit everybody's dreams inside of our own, like Ed Milet says, but it's okay to be the stepping stone for some people. It's okay to have relationships beyond, you know, just them being a salesperson and them coming back to you and saying, hey, what are you doing now? This is what I'm doing, and all that good stuff, right? And so let's walk through this. You got to show them how to attain the next level. It's got to be in writing. Okay, one of the things that I hate is when you come into a company, you bust your ass for 6 months, and then somebody else gets promoted and you have no idea why. So on the sales side of things, and a lot of this stuff you can use in your ops, in your fulfillment, in your marketing, you can use these same structures inside those teams. I've done it for clients before. So I need to know exactly X, Y, and Z. If I do these 3 things, can I get promoted? And the way you make it make sense, guys, is if they do X, Y, and Z, it's going to make you a certain dollar amount. If they get that dollar amount, then you can promote them, right? Because it's within your margins, it's within your profit. So you've got to figure out what those numbers are, okay? And then can they build their dream inside of your dream? And I always like to give people credit. That's Ed Milet. People get into this business, sales, right, for 2 reasons. The first is compensation. Okay? The second is opportunity. The second is the most important. Okay? Comp plan is tactically important, but opportunity in terms of what's going to keep them there long term is way more important. Okay. Now we've got to develop them. So this is a lot of the foundational stuff that I had to create initially, right? So this client is a high-end security client, and that's an assessment module. So you think about, all right, this works for door-to-door, Doug. That's great. But it doesn't work for high-ticket sales, right? We put together this program for a high-end security company. They're out of San Francisco. They are selling to government agencies. They are selling security to Lockheed Martin. They are selling security to high net worth individuals. And they did not have one thing documented in their sales process. You know why? Because the owner was the only salesperson. That's how that works, right? You land big government contracts, you don't need a huge sales team until those big government contracts give you the boot. All right, now I don't have that stability anymore. I had 3 amazing clients and my company was doing $5 million a year, and that sounds great, but if I don't have a sales program, I'm not filling the pipeline, right? And so the development piece is putting that script together, right? If you have sentences in your script, take them out and put bullet points. Okay, let their personality come out, let who they are come out in the sales program. And then of course, initially onboarding, you gotta teach them orientation, don't overdo it. Try to drip their training to them over time, right? And that's basically what this is doing. All right, once they get promoted, let's just say you're in construction sales, you're in home services. These are very scalable businesses in terms of sales teams, right? Once they get promoted, you got to teach them how to train. This is a day 1, day 2, day 3, what you do with your trainee. Okay? How do we invest in their development as a rep, as a trainer, as a leader, and most importantly, as a human being? I wish someone would have told me I had to pay taxes on the $100,000 in 1099 commission that I had to pay, but the owner wasn't telling me that. So I was screwed that year, right? So let's teach them how to do their taxes. Are we teaching them that? No, I'm not an expert on taxes. I'm bringing in an expert. I'm recording the call that they're teaching my team on, and then I'm putting it into my learning management system. And now everybody that comes into my company is going to learn how to do taxes from an expert. That is developing your team, okay? The next piece of that is going to be investing. Right? If they're making 6 figures, they're making typically, unless they don't have a dual income household, they're typically making more than they can spend on bills, right? And so teach them how to invest their money. Because guess what? Salespeople that are investing their money and that are doing the right things with it, they aren't asking you for advances. They aren't asking you to give them pay raises when they're not merited. They're not asking you to raise their pay to their lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So let's develop them and make sure that they're able to accomplish these things, which are very closely related to sales. All right, so fast forward to 2014. 1 million was cool, 4.8 million was a lot cooler, right? By this time, I'm getting a little bit better at net profit. My net profit is 10% by 2014. All right, this is the most reps we ever had, 110 sales reps. We had 13 offices with managers. And we won AT&T's Quality Award, so that was our product, was AT&T, right? And then now became the operations and culture. We got this machine, so how we built it was through the last 2 pieces of CODOC, which is operations and culture, right? And still, though, I'm traveling every week. I'm going city to city. I'm auditing offices. I'm making sure everything's running properly. I'm pitching the dream to everybody that'll listen to it. But I'm not home, right? My wife's holding down the fort. You know what I mean? She's got 3 babies by this point. 2014 was when my son Logan was born. He's 10 years old now. Ooh, that was close. And so there's still 0 business and life alignment, okay? Going back to how we got there, operations, tools, CRM, presentation, slicks, these things that help your salespeople close the sale, right? Fulfillment, when they close the sale, one of the things I always ask my client, if I come in and teach you how to do this and you scale your sales team, can you even handle the business? Or is your fulfillment process gonna fall apart? Let's be honest here. Do you even have the contractors to do the work? Do you even have the subs or internal team to knock this out? Because if you don't, then we need to make sure we're scaling that as we go as well, right? And then recruiting and onboarding. If you can scale a sales team, you're gonna constantly be recruiting. That's never going to stop. You're gonna constantly be onboarding, and you're gonna constantly be turning over people. Now, don't get me wrong, as you execute on these things better and better, the turnover will get less and less. But you can't have both. You're either gonna have high volume, a lot of people coming in, or low volume, high quality people. You got to decide which one that you want. And when you're hiring your first salesperson, which I think most of the room here wants to do maybe next year, you need high quality, right? And so have you positioned it properly in the marketplace in terms of who you want for it? Is there referral programs in place so that you can get business without sales? Is it systemized? Do you have your mission and value incorporated into the operations? At the beginning of every sales meeting, we would start by reciting the mission and core values. I'd call on people to make sure that they memorized them, right? Now my clients nominate each other for displaying the core values from the week before. On a weekly basis, it's a conversation we're having every week. That's how you actually incorporate them into a company instead of them just being words on a wall. Scalable sources of hiring, that's a big one. If you're hiring on Indeed, bless your heart. It's not going to be good, all right? And I'll walk you guys through some of that stuff too. So, development. Sorry, I went backwards. This is what I wanted to walk you through. So, I'm a big fan of Wise Hire right now. No, I'm not getting paid to say this. But this was our Wise Hire recruitment process. We had it mapped out. We knew the conversion rates at every step that you see here. This is why I was good at what I did, because I'm big on SOPs, I'm big on systems. If something is going wrong in the company, it's the system, it's not the person, okay? Now, eventually you'll get to the person, and eventually it will be them, but look at the system that they're trying to operate first and make sure that you've enabled them to operate properly with a good system, right? And so this was our recruitment process. That's a big part of operations. This is our sales flow, all right? You got the source of the leads on this side coming in, how we set the appointments and modules for that, how we run the appointment. That's a big one. That's the script and the sales module, right? What happens after that? You know, do we put out a proposal? Is your business a proposal business? Are we closing in the home? Are we closing in a design fee so we can get some money from the customer and get their commitment? And then we're sending them a proposal with a construction agreement, right? And then once they become a client, are we properly working with them in the back-end process to make sure that they give us more clients, testimonials, and reviews, right? That's the whole sales flow. This is the first thing I look at when I consult for my clients. Last thing is culture. This is the fun stuff. This is what most sales orgs and sales teams do really well, but that's it. They're really good at building a great culture, but then you're there long enough and you realize all we're doing is this because there's a competition, sales go up, they're giving away a pair of custom sneakers, sales go up. That's all cool, but basically it's fast food for sales teams, right? Now, the culture that we were talking about earlier, which starts from your values, that's the real stuff, right? Swag, we all love swag. It's at all the sponsor booths right now. Stuff we get for free. What does Michael Scott say? Yeah. Stuff we all get. Yes. That's my man, Michael Scott. Recognition's huge. Recognition on social media, which is a lot of what we're talking about today, is huge. Companies that recognize their people for the smallest things will have the biggest wins and the best recruits. All right, so now we're in 2021. This is 3 years ago. We got better products, better systems. We scaled down to 3 offices. We're not overspending on Cowboys Suites tickets anymore. I'm from Texas. We're not, buying everybody lunch every day, and all of a sudden, who would have thunk it? Our net profit went up, right? So in 2021, we did 1.8 million. We started implementing EOS. If you guys don't know what EOS is, you need to look it up. Gina Wickman. You definitely need to get on that train. I discovered core values at that time. I didn't have them in my company before that. And I discovered them because I started investing in myself in groups just like this one. And so I started building authority. I didn't know why I started the podcast. This was about the time I met Sebastian and I met Adam. I didn't know why I was doing all these things. I just knew that, hey, I had this information. I wanted to get it out to the world. So I started from a place of value. So if you have this thing that you're starting, you're here today because you're starting a business or you have a side business, now think value first because you got the paycheck, right? Eventually you're going to transfer that paycheck to the side business, but think value first, value, and it will pay off, right? So now I'm getting some business alignment, but who would have thunk it? I was divorced by this time. Because I had, again, zero business to life alignment. I wasn't showing up for my family like I should have been. And so I got a divorce in 2016. And we reconciled in 2021. We reconciled because I started, thank you. It was not easy, but I started seeing these core values show up in my life. I started implementing them, and somebody took notice. You know what I mean? Funny how that works. Because we divorced, I had to get very efficient in my business, which made my profit margin go up, right? I had to stop traveling so much. I had to make sure I was there for my kids whenever I had them, right? And so that inspired me to run my business more efficient, like I had to run my life so I could show up for them, right? And then I started meeting people like Mike Claudio, like Sam Kaufman, like Adam McChesney, like Sebastian. These people were also setting examples for me when we were at these conferences, going to bed at 8:30 and 9 o'clock like a bunch of old men, but getting up at 4:30 and working out. And I'll be damned if I wasn't there at 4:30 with them. So when we talk about increasing that profit, EOS was a big part of that. This is what an accountability chart looks like. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to run through this. When we talk about profitability, the culture started getting stronger. We implemented those core values I talked about. And then in 2022, as business and life alignment started increasing again, I realized I hadn't built my company on values. So naturally, when I incorporated the values, what happened? I'm the only person that probably sits up on stage and tells you core values killed my company, because I had built them without them. I had built my company without them for 13 years. And so when you try and implement those all of a sudden on people that have been with you for a decade, you try to hold them accountable to them, good luck. Right? So I realized the alignment wasn't there anymore. And I had been consulting at this point, and I started seeing, wait a second, I'm making 80% net consulting, and I'm making 0% over here because I've invested so much in core values, in the culture, in everything, and my team is just not having it. My leadership wasn't in alignment anymore. Every time that we were out, they were drinking too much, or they were cheating on their wives. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to try and hold them accountable for that, which is impossible from a business standpoint, right? Or they were trying to get the salesman more commission instead of paying the installers what they're worth. You know, so this alignment, I was out of it. And so as soon as I saw an opportunity in consulting, I jumped. So part of that investment was completing 75 hard. Another part of that investment was completing a marathon. I was constantly doing hard things and challenging myself, and I was trying to get my team to do it too. Unfortunately, again, they weren't on board. And so I started running everything through an alignment filter. The first one is me as a Christian, then it's me as a husband, then it's me as a father, and then it's, is this the best thing I should be doing for my clients, right? I started consulting full time. Now I would say I have 90% business alignment. I don't know that I'll ever get business to life alignment. I don't know that I'll ever get to 100%, but I really love what I'm doing now. I really love seeing my son take video of me while I do this. And someday, maybe he'll be up here, or someday maybe he'll be doing what he loves. So now my consulting business, we have 25 plus clients. You know, now we're at 400 to 500K. It doesn't sound as sexy as 4.8 million, does it? But you know what it is? That business life alignment that we just talked about, right? And so I'm at an 80% net. And even though my business is no longer a multi-million-dollar business, I still am going to have my peak personal income year this year in my whole life. That's the important part, right? Guys, I don't know that I can even take on another client right now, and so I'm not here to pitch you. But what I am here to let you know about the value I do have through the podcast. I have a sales toolkit that you can give your salesperson, or it can help you set up your script. And then if you follow me on social media, you're gonna see some really cool kids, my wife, some good barbecue, and some really cool coaching and consulting stuff too as well. So definitely follow me, and y'all can use that link to do it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.